At the time I launched into this project, there was no information to help a swimming pond self-builder. So each step was an experiment, a process of evolution rather than implementing a grand design. This vacuum did lead me to come up with a sleek and functional method in the end, but along the way it wasn't elegant.
Very big project to be dealing with it by yourself. Well, got Alison and the kids obviously.
Well, it was made by a local craftsman that I know.
What a fantastically designed machine. It looks like it's been made on an old trolley.
No, it's all you know, high tech.
State of the art.
State of the art.
This is my bespoke sandbag filler. A digger had cleared the topsoil and dug the hole for the swimming zone, measuring 12 by 5 meters. I intended to build the walls without using cement, just with sandbags.
Which is a lot more effort than I anticipated, but then again, I'm always a bit of an optimist. The weather went a bit bad and a bit of mayhem caused down here, so I think this means that my optimism has been somewhat tempered, and I might have to try and approach this project with some other way. So I think the plan is dig some foundations, build a wall with concrete blocks, and then up to 1 meter, and then build above that with sandbags.
I've got my mattock and I'm digging a trench for the foundation. I shouldn't really have had a rest. It's now rained so long I've lost track of time. We're now into June. No, we're nearly late June. And it's just been a monsoon month. The floods took a while to subside, but when they did, my son Theo couldn't believe his eyes.
Chocolate! It looks like chocolate now. It looks like chocolate. And then you get down like that.
It might only be an illusion, but we're happy being in a hole with 1,000 broken Easter eggs. Yeah. Theo? The trench is about 30 centimetres deep and 30 wide. Every metre or so I've made 15 centimetre diameter holes with the auger. When filled with concrete, they'll form piles in the foundation, helping a key into the clay soil. Meanwhile, the synthetic sandbags have not been happy in the sun.
See, there's my lovely sandbag wall, but now look at this.
Still, the sandbag demonstrates quite effective passive resistance. The mix ratio is roughly 6 ballast to 1 cement, or 1 shovelful of cement to 1 sandbag. And all lovingly smoothed with a float. While the foundation is drying, the concrete blocks arrive, 400 of them. There's an odd knocking sound in the hole. It's Barry. You shouldn't have said hello to Felix.
I know, I shouldn't.
Things are getting desperate because
I've turned up.
Barry's done it. No, Barry is going to rescue me because we need to build the wall quickly before the rains come in. But of course we've had loads of rain anyway. But we're trying to stop the damage getting any greater. We get the wall up and hopefully we'll be alright.
You ought to have said that when you're standing knee deep in water.
It feels good to have beaten the rain and got the first row of blocks down.
It's good to see a craftsman at work.
Yeah.
Barry has left me, and by the fifth row of blocks I'm in a state of delirium. The outer area of the pond is bowl-shaped, and around the perimeter I'm digging a trench. It will serve as a drain to take away water running off the field. It will also retain the liner around the edge.
I want to help Daddy, Mummy.
The trench is complete. Now the whole surface needs compacting. I'm pulling in the one powerful beast that can help. Barry. He's back, with a whacker plate we've hired. I made the sides too steep, so the job is much harder than it should be. The slope should be 30% or less.
Petrol.
The underliner fabric is called Polyfelt TS60. 260 grams per square metre.
Go.
It's a non-woven synthetic material. Sandbags are useful to have around. They're quite heavy but soft and moulding. The overflow for the pond is just this notch in the pond rim. The underliner is held in the trench with sandbags.
Yeah.
The inaugural
I'll follow you down.
sporting event in this pool.
Yeah, go on. Whoa! Ooh.
It gives you a bit of friction burn.
Which brings me to heat. We're insulating the bottom with 25mm PIR foam boards. The ground temperature at this depth stays around 11 degrees centigrade. The water temperature could be well over 10 degrees warmer, so heat will radiate into the ground. Insulation will reduce this loss. This is the liner. I asked a local farmer to help us get it to the pond. But I've spotted a problem.
The inadequacies of my building work have shown up, and I've not compressed the soil, the clay, at the back of the wall sufficiently, and the water has caused it to settle even more. It's revealed holes, which, well, thank goodness it's happening now, because at least I can fill them with sand and hopefully do a better job of compressing it this time before the liner goes on, because if the liner goes on and this happens, it'll rip.
I'm using my tamper to compress the sand, and it does feel quite healing. The ominous hulk is about to unfurl. The liner measures 26 metres by 20 metres. It's 0.75 millimetres thick and weighs a shade under 500 kilograms. A team of 10 men and a crane is the preferred method of installation, but I've got Alison and some sticks. But unrolling reveals a problem.
You seem to be a bit short.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's might be a bit of a sad joke really, but it seems to be at least 2 metres short there, and we've still got to have another 2 metres to go up and down the into the deep part of the pond. What are we going to do?
Sellotape a bit more on.
Yeah, where's the sellotape?
I think she's too short. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4.
We resort to estimating the folds, and the width looks like it's going to be longer than the length.
I was told that you unroll it goalpost to goalpost. Well, if it was a football pitch. But anyway, should have gone that way. Hopefully, if not, we've bought a liner for £2,500, which is the wrong size.
That just leaves me the non-too-trivial task of rotating it 90 degrees, this time without Alison or sticks. Then, by editing magic, it's done, ready for the morning's unfurl. The lining material is EPDM, a synthetic rubber, and this product is called Green Seal. It's been fabricated by the suppliers to the size of my pond, 26 by 20 metres. By the way, there seems to be no lining product I can find which stands out as being greener than any other. They all seem to involve equally dirty processes. I reconcile this with the thought that at least the oil used to make pond liners is not being burnt as fuel, and the ponds will benefit our wildlife.
I'm worried it's going down a bit. I'm worried we're losing it.
This behaviour does look ridiculous, but this is not a moment for pride. Wafting air under the liner is the only way to draw it out.
Epic, epic. But we've done it. We've got the pond liner in.
The liner is held in position by sandbags in the perimeter trench. I'm aiming for flat and smooth walls, so I'm not just tugging randomly. I'm shuffling the liner by increments to bring the slack equally into the corners. A friend of mine, Paul, has made the mistake of popping by. I invited him for a paddle in my pond.
Any difference, to be honest. But
We've smoothed out a black hole
Yeah.
and there's less
Yeah.
black creases in it.
yeah, there must be something kind of Stephen Hawkingish about smoothing out the corners of a black hole. You know, I don't know.
On to the next dimension. The overliner fabric is the same material as the underliner. I'm not covering the base of the pool, so I'm just trapping it under the rows of sandbags. I bought hundreds of these bags. They're much cheaper in bulk, so I'm determined to use what I've got left. This time I've added some cement to the sand, so if the bags do break, the wall will remain solid.
Stop.
And apparently there's a crock of gold at the bottom of where the rainbow starts.
My magic blow lamp seems a bit damp this evening. The pieces of overliner are stuck with just a wave of this wand. I've started to move sand and gravel onto the overliner. The tyres are an experiment. In the original digging of the pond, I dug too much out of here and the sides are too steep. I need this tyre wall to retain the sand at the bottom of the slope. In the centre and corners of the sandbag wall, I've placed short lengths of black 110mm drain pipe. They connect to flexible perforated land drain pipes running around the planted zone. A gravel layer engulfs the 100mm land drain pipe. This will provide good circulation for water under the aquatic plants. I've also put a 100mm perforated land drain in the perimeter trench. The trench is now being filled with gravel. Ideally, the trench should be a metre or more back from the pond edge. Cheap black landscaping geotextile is covering all the areas of gravel. Sand and subsoil is piled on top. The digger has come to move back a pile of subsoil from the original digging of the pond. It's now just a matter of spreading it around. Over winter the pond is filling. I've built up the sandbag wall, this time with Hessian sandbags containing a weak sand cement mixture. They will rot over time but leave behind their soft organic shape. This soft organic shape is holding a drain fitting.
Whether it works or not, I don't know.
I've got my circulation system to fit.
Put a hole in there. There's going to be a 15mm pipe delivering air into the bottom there, and that'll scoot up at the top and hopefully suck in water with it from the side. But let's try and fit it.
This fits to the pipework that runs under the planted zone.
Oh. Oh.
Well, maybe I'll do that later. The water's a few degrees warmer, and I can't resist planting lilies and oxygenating plants. Peter, the pond man, there he is, he brought the plants. Although from an environmental perspective, it would be best to leave it to be totally colonised naturally. Plants will take a couple of seasons to fully establish. As they grow, they remove nutrients from the water. In these conditions, algae can't compete, and the water should stay clear. Then, maintenance is just a matter of pulling out some vegetation now and again, effectively removing accumulated nutrients from the pond. Back to plumbing. An aquarium earth stone, pushed through a hole in a drain pipe stop end, Some 6mm plastic airline, push this on, here's the T-fitting, and just slip it onto the 110mm pipe sticking out of the wall. It would be best to do this before there's water in the pond. My air supply pipe is some old rigid hose. 5.5mm hole so the air pipe jams in. The hose pipe pushes onto the aquarium air compressor. The bubbles are drawing water from under the planted zone, a massive biological filter. Of course, the bubbles are oxygenating the water as well as providing the circulation. The flowing water also distributes the solar warmth from the shallow planted zone. Just in case it's taken by the current, Felix has his boat tethered to his foot. Jasper bathes happily in the soft pond water, and as it's chemical free, it's the healthiest water for children to swim.
Good job, Daddy!
The pond has cost around £5,000 and taken me most of my spare time over 2 years. With all I've learned now, it should take me half that time. And all the effort of making this pool dissolves away in 40,000 gallons of living rainwater. Almost magically, over the year, wild plants have appeared. The mist on this July morning is from the warmth of the water. The insulation on the floor of the pond is helping conserve heat from the previous day. The temperature of the water is 22 degrees. Lauren, my niece, is going to test the water. Until today, she had never even contemplated swimming in a pond. It's also a new experience for her friend Emily.
It's so nice. How nice is the water? Oh my god, it actually is really nice.
Theo still prefers his pond dipping with a net. All the animals he can find have made their own way in here. There are no fish in this natural swimming pool. They would eat the tiny crustaceans that are vital to filter particles out of the water. Only natural swimming pool water can make a mop bucket so fascinating.